Hey Brewskers, this is Aja, with Whatcha Brewing with Aja. And I just wanted to let you know that for this video we are talking about PTSD. And side note, I am not a doctor. I have no doctorate degree. I just, I deal with certain mental health issues, and I would like them to bring to light and show that most of mental health disorders are harmless, or at least not going to harm you. So enjoy the video. Hey there Brewskers, this is Whatcha Brewing with Aja. Today we're going to be talking about PTSD and the problems that come from it and how we can properly fix it. The coffee of the day is Kahlua mocha with funfetti creamer. It's really good, but it's a little too hot to drink right now. So let's get started. The common things that happen to me when I get triggered, which my triggers are lightning and thunder and fireworks and cars backfiring. And there's also any person that looks like the people that sexually assaulted me and sexually harmed me when I was a tad bit younger. And I deal with that just by breathing and trying to calm myself down, saying, I'm okay, they're not going to hurt me, I trust them. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I book it and try to get past them or off the elevator if they're in the elevator with me. And since I'm feeling a little lonely today, this is my friend Sparkles. She's the closest thing to having an animal. She's about the same weight, and I feel a little calmer with her in this video. So enough about me. We're going to talk about the PTSD. If you are unsure that you have it, this might be the video for you. So let's get started. I did a lot of research, and hopefully we can get through it all within hopefully an hour. Okay, so the common symptoms of PTSD are vivid flashbacks, such as feeling like the trauma is happening right now. Another one is intrusive thoughts or images, nightmares, intense distress at real or symbolic reminders of the trauma, and physical sensations such as pain, sweating, nausea, and trembling. Isn't that fun? Here's a few more things that can happen when you're triggered or on edge, which is this. You can feel on edge, and this can include panicking when reminded of the trauma, being easily upset or angry, extreme alertness, also sometimes called hypervigilance, disturbing sleep or lack of sleep, irritability or aggressive behavior, finding it hard to concentrate, including on simple everyday tasks, being jumpy or easily startled. That is me with thunder and lightning and anything that makes a loud boom. It brings back bad memories. It just makes me feel like they're out to get me, or they're gonna harm some of my friends, and I'm not okay with that. And I just want to run and hide, and I just wish that it would go away. Like, especially during 4th of July and New Year's, I cannot tolerate the fireworks. It's just too much. It's too much for me. I tend to put earplugs in and also put my headphones on and turn it full blast so I could almost barely hear them. The quieter they are, the better. Thing is avoiding feelings or memories. And such things like this can include feeling like you have to keep busy, avoiding anything that reminds you of the trauma, being unable to remember details of what happened, feeling emotionally numb or cut off from your feelings, feeling physically numb or detached from your body, being unable to express affection, and doing things that could be self-destructive or weakness or reckless. And sometimes, like me, I resulted in using alcohol or drugs, and being off of all the drugs and the alcohol except for my prescriptions. I being almost 2 years clean, I find that I still want to avoid the memories with them. It's really hard to just not want to get drunk or high to deal with it. But I know it's not the right answer. It's a Band-Aid and it comes back the next day. So there really is no point to using drugs and alcohol because, like my mom said to me, using these things are like putting a tiny little Band-Aid on a surgical wound. It's not going to work. It's not going to hold the wound together. It's not even going to help it stop bleeding. So, yeah, I believe in that. And that was one of the things that helped me get clean. The next things are difficulty in beliefs or feelings. Oh, no, just says difficult beliefs or feelings. I cannot talk today, apparently. And these things can include feeling like you can't trust anyone, feeling like nowhere is safe, feeling like nobody understands, blaming yourself for what happened, overwhelming feelings of anger, sadness, guilt, or shame. Well, I do lose sleep all the time. I don't even think I do sleep. I just sit there with my eyes closed. Sometimes I do get to fall asleep, but it doesn't do much until I hear someone's car backfire in the middle of the night, and forget it. After that, I'm awake, and that's it. I worry, and I check my door often. Like, I'll wake up just to check my door to make sure it's locked. And it's not good, because I would like to get sleep, Just being able to sleep and rejuvenate would be nice. Here is one of the main questions that was pulled up when I was Googling about PTSD, just to learn more about it and see if it would help me. But one of the questions was, why does PTSD have physical effects? This was a good question. I would like answered. And this is what some doctors on, I believe this was from the Mayo Clinic. So the question again was, why does PTSD have physical effects? The reason that PTSD has physical effects is because when we feel stressed emotionally, our bodies release hormones called cortisol and adrenaline. This is the body's automatic way of preparing to respond to a threat, sometimes called the fight, flight, or freeze response. Studies have shown that someone with PTSD will continue producing these hormones when they're no longer in danger, which is thought to explain some symptoms such as extreme alertness and being easily startled. Some people also experience physical symptoms similar to the symptoms of anxiety, such as headaches, dizziness, chest pains, and stomach aches. Here is a quote from the question, where I saw the question. I thought I was coping quite well to start with. Then a few weeks after the event, I began experiencing unpleasant physical symptoms similar to those of a heart attack, chest pain, tightness, dizzy spells. Dizzy spells so severe that I thought I'd pass out. And I have actually passed out from, a PTSD episode. I heard something and I basically just held my breath until I passed out because for that second, I forgot to breathe. I forgot to remember to breathe, to actually breathe, and I passed out. And it's not fun. So, breathe. If you get triggered, try to breathe. Don't hold your breath. The next question is, what are flashbacks? Well, flashbacks basically are something that you go into as a memory, according to me, because that's kind of what it feels like. But what they have to say is, a flashback is a vivid experience in which you relive some aspects of the trauma or feel as if it's happening right now. This can sometimes be like watching a video of what happened, but flashbacks do not necessarily involve seeing images or reliving events from start to finish. You may just experience any of the following: seeing full or partial images of what happened, noticing sounds or smells or tastes connected to the trauma, feeling physical sensations such as pain or pressure, and experiencing emotions that you feel during the trauma. You might notice that particular places, people, or situations can trigger a flashback for you, which could be due to them reminding you of the trauma in some way. Or you might find that flashback seems to be happening at random. Flashbacks can last for just a few seconds or continue for several hours or even days. I'm glad I've never had several days worth of a flashback. Normally it's just like a quick glimpse of what happened in my past. Like, it's just like it took a snippet of a reel and just plays it over in my head. And it's terrible, just reliving those things. But usually it lasts about 30 seconds, and then I snap out of it. It's even not, you can't snap out of it, but that's what it felt like. I'd just be like, oh, I'm back in reality. Okay, thanks, body. Here's some other effects of PTSD that might happen, and let's get into that. If you're experiencing symptoms of PTSD, you might also find that you have difficulty with some everyday aspects of your life, such as looking after yourself, holding down a job, maintaining friendships or relationships, remembering things and making decisions. It could affect your sex drive and coping with change, or simply enjoying your leisure time. It could just destroy that. And here what someone had to say about some of these things. My behavior changed and became erratic. I would alternate from wanting to shut myself away and not see or talk to anyone, to going out to parties in the middle of the week and staying out late. Yeah, I used to do that too. And but at one of the parties, I got an unexpected assault, I'm gonna say. And I just can't trust males as well as I used to. So yeah, if you can figure out what I'm talking about, good on you, but I'm not telling you exactly what happened. There are also some things that PTSD and other health problems can kind of combine. And this is what mind.org.uk had to say. It's common to experience other mental health problems along PTSD, which could include anxiety disorders, depression, dissociative disorders, self-harm, and suicidal feelings. Yeah, I've been there, done that. Tried to end myself at least 4 times, I believe. No, 5. I tried to kill myself 5 times, and luckily someone was always there to prevent it from happening. And for that, I'm very thankful of these people, and they saved me. And now I find that it's my duty to bring light to these problems. And I don't want people to think that, oh, because you have a mental health issue, you're crazy. And no one's crazy. No. We're just different. And we deal with life differently. You're not crazy. No one's crazy. Except for maybe some psychopaths. That's touching the line on that one. The next thing that was asked is, what are the 4 types of PTSD? And I think what they meant was, what are the 4 types of symptoms that can happen in PTSD? And we've gone through some of these, but here's a little more in depth. There's the intrusive memories. The sensitive symptoms of intrusive memories can include recurrent unwanted distressing memories of the traumatic event, reliving the traumatic event as if it was happening again, flashbacks, upsetting dreams or nightmares about the traumatic event. There's a lot of those. That's probably one of the reasons I don't sleep. I try not to sleep. I try not to sleep like a lot because it bothers me. And then there's also severe emotional distress or physical reactions to something that reminds you of the traumatic event. Then there is avoidance. Symptoms of Symptoms of avoidance may include trying to avoid thinking or talking about the traumatic event, which is different for me. I talk about it and it makes me feel a little bit better. I get it off my chest. And avoiding places, activities, or people that remind you of the traumatic event. I refuse to go back to Arizona because that's where one of my traumatic events happened. And I kind of don't want to ever go back to where I was living before I moved here to Washington, because just bad things have happened since I was the age of 16. And it seemed to have crushed my soul, and I don't know, it just hurts me to think about going back there, and it's not fun. The next thing is negative changes in thinking and mood. The symptoms of negative changes in thinking and mood may include negative thoughts about yourself or other people or the world, hopelessness about the future. I'm right there on that one. Memory problems, including not remembering important aspects of the traumatic event. No, I feel like I can remember everything in detail because everything comes back in vivid detail. There's also difficulty maintaining close relationships, feeling detached from family and friends, lack of interest in activities you once enjoyed. I used to love to do art and just make random stuff, and now I can barely sit down and draw, and I have to have my buddies here to help me calm down, and we would do arts and crafts together, and that was always nice. And then there's off my tangent. Lack of interest in activities you once enjoyed, which I just said. Difficulty experiencing positive emotions. Feeling emotionally numb. For the longest time after in December of 2012, I did feel very numb for the first 2 years, and then I started feeling better, and then something happened again that made me feel emotionally numb to everyone around me, and even to myself. Like, I couldn't believe what happened, and it literally scarred me. I do have a scar, but it not only literally scarred me, it emotionally scarred me, and I just couldn't. I thought I was less of a person because I just felt like there was nothing to live for at that point in 2014. Yeah, so it sucked. The next thing is changes in physical and emotional reactions. The symptoms of changes in physical and emotional reactions, this is also called arousal symptoms, may include being easily startled or frightened, always being on guard for danger, self-destructive behavior such as drinking too much or driving too fast, or even too much drugs, trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating, irritability, anger, angry outbursts or aggressive behavior, overwhelming guilt or shame. I felt a lot of shame when I was 16. I thought everything was my fault for what happened to me. And though I did stand up for myself after one particular incident, I still felt like that I was less of a person and that I was only good for one thing. And it sucked, and I avoid anybody that looks like the person that hurt me. If they're in the elevator, I won't get in. I'll wait till the next one. And I just can't. Like, someone that lives here reminds me of my past, and it hurts a lot. And I do get angry about it. And I think my anger and my drug use and lots of other things is what ruined my marriage. But again, it's thinking that it's my fault. And honestly, it was kind of both me and my ex-husband. It was both our fault. We just didn't try hard enough. And that's okay. I had to move on. He's moved on. And I hope the best for him. Another question that popped up is, what does PTSD do to a person? Excuse me. People with PTSD have intense, disturbing thoughts and feelings related to their experience that last longer after the traumatic event has ended. They may relive the event through flashbacks or nightmares. They feel sadness, fear, anger, and they may feel detached or estranged from other people. That is something we covered a little while ago, but I'm going to keep reminding you. So it gets in your head, it's not your fault. Symptoms and diagnosis. Symptoms of PTSD fall in 4 categories. Specific symptoms can vary in severity. One is intrusive thoughts such as repeated involuntary memories, distressing dreams, or flashbacks of the traumatic event. Flashbacks may also be vivid, or so vivid that the people feel they're actually living the traumatic experience again, or seeing it before their eyes, like in third person. That is sad. If you feel like you're reliving it and you're watching it, I feel for you. I've never had that experience, but it must be tough. And I'm proud that you made it through it, and keep on fighting. That's all I gotta say about that. The next thing was avoidance. Avoiding reminders of the traumatic event may include avoiding people, places, activities, objects, and situations that may trigger distressing memories. People may try to avoid remembering or thinking about the traumatic event. They may resist talking about what happened to them or how they feel about it. I actually, like I said before, I feel a lot better after talking about it. I felt like it was like a weight lifted off of me that I finally got out. I felt like I was holding all this in because I didn't tell anybody, because I didn't want to be called a slut or any other name, or be disowned by my family, because I feared that because what happened to me when I was 16 was a bad thing. I thought that, they would just call me a hussy or a whore or anything. And I bottled it in for years. Like years. I didn't tell anybody about my problems that happened when I was 16 until I was at least 22. I think I was 22 when I told someone. And it felt so good to just verbally vomit what happened to me and just letting it go. I decided to take the past and try to put it aside. Just like take it and throw it in the garbage. Even if it's just writing it out, which I did, and I burned it. I felt a lot better. I threw that paper and that whole notebook that I had about it in the fire, and I just watched it burn. Another thing that can happen, or the symptoms to diagnose, is alterations in cognition and mood, in the inability to remember important aspects of the traumatic event, negative thoughts and feelings leading to ongoing and distorted beliefs about oneself or others. For example, I am bad, no one can be trusted. Distorted thoughts about the cause or consequences of the event can lead to wrongly blaming yourself or others. Ongoing fear, horror, anger, guilt, shame. Much less interest in activities previously enjoyed. Feeling detached or estranged from others, or being unable to experience positive emotions. Also void of happiness or satisfaction. Yeah. I believe that I can probably never be satisfied. And I'm not sure in what aspect I mean by that, but happiness and satisfaction seem to come last for me. I kind of tend to put others first to make them happy. I would love to see all my friends happy, but I don't think I deserve to be happy sometimes. There's days where I know I do, but then there's the days where I absolutely think that I'm not worth being on this earth. I shouldn't be breathing other people's air, and my thoughts of no one's gonna love me again because of all my issues, and trying to find somebody that will recognize that it's going to be a lot of work to be with me. And that's all I want in life, honestly, is someone just to love me and bring that happiness back. That'd be very nice. Another one is alterations in arousal and activity. Arousal and reactive symptoms may include being irritable and having angry outbursts, behaving recklessly in a self-destructive way, being overly watchful of one's surroundings in a suspecting way, being easily startled, or having problems concentrating and sleeping. Yeah. I do have, like I said before, I do have trouble sleeping. I don't want to sleep. I have the craziest, weirdest dreams that just wake me up in a cold sweat. And they just are constant reminders of what happened in my past. And concentrating, you would have no idea how long it took me to get through this video, or to even just start doing this video. I was not concentrating really well and trying to get this video moving forward. But another question that came up while I was researching was, how can you tell if someone has PTSD? And this is for people who have friends and are unsure how to help them. So if you stick around, we shall see about helping your friends or helping someone like me, not hurt so bad. And we already went through the PTSD symptoms, re-experiencing the trauma, recollections of the event, flashbacks and nightmares. The emotional numbness, avoidance of places, people, activities, blah blah blah. And the increased arousal, such as difficulty sleeping and concentrating, feeling jumpy, and being easily irritated and angered. If you didn't catch all that, the last 3 web pages I've been to has said the same thing. And yeah. But here's something a little more about it. Diagnosis criteria that apply to adults, adolescents, and children older than 6 include exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violation. There's directly experiencing the trauma and events, witnessing in person the trauma events. This is all just to diagnose it. Learning that the traumatic events occurred to a close family member or close friend. Cases of actual or threatened death must have been violated or accidental. Experiencing repeated or extreme exposure to aversive? I don't even know if that's a word. Details of the traumatic events, examples of first responders collecting human remains, police officers repeatedly exposed to details of child abuse. Note: this does not apply to exposure through electronic media, televisions, movies, or pictures, unless exposure is work-related. That's terrible. That is a few ways we can tell that, they may have PTSD. And hopefully this is something we can help everyone get through. Here are some more ways that doctors diagnose PTSD. And this is the presence of one or more of the following: spontaneous or cued, recurrent, involuntary, intrusive, distressing memories of the traumatic events. Side note: in children, repetitively play may occur in which themes or aspects of the traumatic events are expressed. Then there's reoccurring distressing dreams, in which the content or effect or feeling. The feeling of the dream is related to the events. In children, there may be frightening dreams without recognizable content. There's the flashbacks or dissociative reactions in which the individual feels or acts as if the traumatic events are reoccurring. Note, in children, trauma-specific reenactment may occur in play. Intense or prolonged psychological distress at exposure to internal or external cues that symbolize or resemble an aspect of the traumatic event. And the lastly is physiological reactions to reminders of the traumatic events. And this was all done by ada.org. Posttraumatic Stress Disorder, Ptsd Symptoms. What happens if PTSD is left untreated? This is another question I found while researching. Untreated PTSD from any trauma is unlikely to disappear and can contribute to chronic pain, depression, drug and alcohol abuse, sleep problems that may impede a person's ability to work and interact with others. This is another question that popped up, and it says, what are the stages of PTSD? Posttraumatic stress disorder is comprised of 4 phases: impact, rescue, intermediate recovery, and long-term reconstruction. Reichbach explains as an individual passes through these stages, symptoms can come up and go. According to Reichbach. I can't pronounce his name. But here is more on those 4. Impact, or the emergency stage. This phase occurs immediately after the traumatic event. At this point, the affected individual is struggling to come to terms with the shock of what happened. He or she will be highly anxious, hypervigilant, and possibly struggling with guilt. Media depicts of PTSD largely featured in characters who are suffering from the stage of PTSD. War veterans and abuse survivors who just come back from battle or are in a police station immediately after an attack often come to mind. What the media frequently does not show us, though, is that when treated by a mental health professional, the presentation of PTSD will change as the patient begins to recover. And some people, if you've watched my first video on mental health, the Kahlua and chit chat, I believe is what it's called, you could hear my views on Hollywood and media. I don't like them. I think they send a bad image for people with mental health, and I think that if they're going to talk about anything with mental health, they should do their research, or go do a study, or find a study that's already been done and just research it and get it right, not make us look like some wackoid or like some sort of serial killer. Even that can be the case, but it's rare. People that have PTSD are not crazy or weird, but they can get aggressive. I can get aggressive, and I can't count how many times where I got so aggressive that I threw something sharp at something, like scissors, knives, anything that was sharp. I would throw them, and I didn't care what it hit or who it hit. I just throw them. The second stage is the denial stage. Not everybody experiences denial when dealing with PTSD recovery. Individuals who do will continue to experience strong feelings brought on by memories of the traumatic event, but they will attempt, either consciously or subconsciously, to avoid the difficult emotions. Those who are prone to using alcohol and substances will be especially vulnerable to numbing behavior in this stage. Yes. I was in denial for a long time, and like I said, I would bottle up my emotions. I wouldn't let myself have the emotions. I would just take it and just stuff it down deeper. And in the end, it would always end up bad. And because I'm stuffing everything down, it's gonna blow. Like, it's like a volcano just waiting to happen. You should never stuff your feelings or suppress your feelings. You gotta let them out. This is coming from a person who has a difficulty doing that, but the relief you get after like a good crying or talking about it, the relief is something else. It's just like magic. It's not a fix-all, but it's off your chest. You told someone. You're getting help to talk through it. It's okay to do that. Don't be afraid to show your emotions. And like I said, this has come from someone who stuffs the emotions. I do not like to cry, mostly because I'm wearing makeup, and number two, I was always taught as a child that crying is a sign of weakness, and it's not. It's a release. It's a release of emotions. It's a release of bad energy. It's a release of just negativity that you've been stuffing down. And it helps. Trust me, it helps. I wish I had a better way to explain it other than the way I did. But I'm sorry if you misunderstood or got confused, but there's no other way I can explain it. Another stage of PTSD is the short-term recovery stage. During this phase, immediate solutions to problems are addressed. The individual with PTSD will attempt to adjust to everyday life and return to a sense of normalcy. This stage can go both ways. Individuals will either continue to accept help from others, or they'll become disillusioned and somewhat cynical. At this stage, nightmares and intrusive thoughts continue and make everyday life difficult. So, I think this is where I am in the recovery stage. I talk to someone now. I see a therapist. Kind of talk to a therapist because, stuff. It's hard to get to the office, and all the mask wearing and whatnot. I'll just talk to them over the phone. And it has made everyday life difficult, but because I don't sleep, and then by the time I sleep, I'm out, and I don't wake up until like noon. Just in time to let my caregiver in, just enough time to get dressed, maybe just enough time to do my makeup because she's running late. But yeah, the nightmares, the thoughts, it does make life difficult when you can't suppress your thoughts. You can't tell them to just go away. It's almost impossible, but it's possible. There is a possibility of getting past this stage, and maybe meditation or something, which is what I've been doing, meditating. And that kind of helps with the release of the pent-up feelings I've stuffed down. The last stage is long-term recovery. As the name implies, the individual will continue to deal with the after effects of their trauma, such as anxiety and nightmares. However, with treatment, these negative symptoms can be reduced and eventually completely overcome. With constant support from professionals, family, and friends, people with PTSD can expect to return to a calmer, fuller life on the other side. Mental health while often difficult to discuss with friends and loved ones, is nothing to be ashamed of. Seeking help for PTSD will be difficult but necessary to your quality of life. If it's not treated now, it could become a bigger problem. And just like I think I've been trying to say is, don't be ashamed of any mental diagnosis you got. You know, it's it's just another thing. You know, you get diagnosed, say, like with a cold, you know, yeah, it goes away, and some mental illnesses do not, but a lot of help comes from doctors and psychologists, and they're here they're there to help you. And you know, they chose that job because they want to help people. And I'm not going to try to make it a command, but you should try talking to someone. And I would not suggest someone close to you first, because I've done that, and I was judged automatically. And when I finally got to see my psychologist, I told them what happened, and they set up a plan for me to start to recover from it. And the worst part is trying to get me to stop stuffing my feelings, just bottling them up. I gotta stop. And I think a lot of people do what I do. They don't want to feel it. They don't want to feel it. They don't want to see. They don't want to deal with it. And it's hard, but I honestly recommend letting the cork off the bottle. Let your emotions flow. The next thing I found online is what to say and not what to say to a person with PTSD. And here is quite a few of them. What not to say is, it wasn't even life-threatening. Don't say that. PTSD can be from many different things. You don't know. The alternative would be, I know you're scared because of it, but you're safe now. See how much gentler that was? And these are all going to give me alternatives of what to say. I'm going to pick and choose in some of them because they are super long. The second thing not to say is, people have been through worse. We all know people have been through worse, but we're trying to deal with ourselves right now. And it's okay to deal with ourselves and not worry about other people for the moment. You know, except for if you're not wearing a mask or wearing it correctly. You don't think about anyone but yourself. But for people with PTSD, you don't want to say some of these things to them, like people have been through worse. The hell? And here's an here is an alternative to what you can say. You can get through this hardship. Have faith in them. Be their rock, something that they can feel safe and hold on to in this flood of problems that they are now dealing with. Here's another what to not say. Stop overreacting. I really dislike that because I get that all the fucking time. Just all the goddamn time. And it's fucking painful. It's like, I'm not overreacting. I'm acting. I'm reacting. I don't want to. You think I want to do this? No, I don't want to overreact. I'm dealing with something. Something triggered me, you know? Anyways, here's the alternative to what you can say. I understand you're scared, but I'm going to be right here next to you the whole time so nothing happens. Let's get through this. I like that, honestly. I wish someone would have said something like that to me instead of me having to get through my problems on my own. But, you know, life. Here's another what not to say. You're faking it. I have been told that by a few people, that I'm faking it, or I'm faking all my other diagnoses. And it hurts. I always wonder who in their right mind would want to fake something like this. I wouldn't wish any of my diagnoses, or diagnoses, however you say it, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Not even my enemy. Not even on the worst person in the world. I would not. I just would not want to have someone else deal with what I deal with. Because it's not fun. Another thing to not say is, oh, did I read what the alternative was to that? Oh. Okay, so there is no alternative response to that. But there is an alternative reaction. Educate yourself on the disorder so you could better understand what your loved one might be feeling. And like I said, I bet they wouldn't want to wish it on anyone ever. I would not fake what I'm dealing with. I can't. I can't even imagine pushing something like this out there and saying that you are. I can't imagine that. Why would someone do that? It's terrible. Why? Here's another thing to not say. I've been through something similar and I don't have PTSD, so you don't have it either. That's about as the same thing as saying you're faking it. No. Every person deals with life differently and goes through life differently. You know, we don't live the same lives as someone else in the world. Well, maybe, but we don't, you know, we're not cookie cutter people. We don't go through the same things that everyone deals with in their day life. Some people get shitty shit to deal with all day long, and then something can happen, and you know, you may not have gotten PTSD from it because, I don't know, I guess you're stronger in that area. I don't know what to say about that. But saying someone doesn't have it because you don't have it is total bullshit. Like, no. Just no. You may not have it. I have it. I'm dealing with it. Get off my chest. Get off my back. No. Just no. No, never say that. Oh my God. And again, there's no alternative to this. You just got to educate yourself and understand that they aren't you. You know, that's like me telling you to be more like your grandpa, or, you know, whatever. Be like your sister, be like your brother, you know. No. Don't say that. Here's another thing of what not to say. You realize you're being completely illogical right now, right? I have had that said to me by my father. Right, like all the time. Every single time I have something come up, it's that sentence. And it's fucking frustrating. It's just downright frustrating. The alternative that they suggest you say is, I know that your brain is telling you that everywhere you go and everything you do could cause a trigger to you, or you feeling the same, feeling as if you're in danger. Try keep repeating to yourself that you're safe. No one's gonna hurt you. You'll be okay. Create a mantra. I really don't know what that word means, but I've heard it a lot, and I guess it's some sort of saying that you say to yourself to keep you calm, to keep you grounded, to keep you from wanting to hurt yourself. Like my mantra is, you're beautiful, everything's okay, and I love me. Or I say that to my friends who are going through something. You're beautiful, you're okay, and I love you. It's really helpful. It's really helpful. I don't know, just give it a shot. Another thing not to say is stop being so dramatic. What? I would really like to understand what that means, because, you know, we may be having an episode, and how we react to that episode may seem dramatic to you, but we're just trying to get through it. Here's an alternative to something saying like that. Deep breath. Let's talk through this. Why do you feel this way? Ask questions. Help them through it. Help them through it. Here's another thing not to say. You said you were okay. Okay. Here's what to say, or something that you may need to know. Don't always believe us when we say we're okay. We're often not okay. We're freaking out. So instead of just leaving us be, maybe do something that will make us feel a little better. Bring us some bath bombs, some chocolate, or come over and play video games. Anything to make us feel as if you are see if you not only care, but you care enough to bring us something that could potentially make us feel okay, even if it's for a short time. You know, I agree with that, because half the time I'm just like trying to get through life and trying to deal with it on my own, that I do that. I'm like, I'm okay. And half the time I'm just telling myself that I'm okay. No, I'm not okay. Normally I'm fucking freaking out and trying to hold it together and just get through what I'm trying to get through and go home and freak out there. So just don't, we may say we're okay. We are not okay until you help us become okay. You gotta help your friends and family. Just listen and look at them and tell them that you love them and that we'll do anything to help you get through this, even if they say they're okay. That's my suggestion. Here is another thing not to say. How was I supposed to know that you blank? Like, how was I supposed to know that you're feeling like this? How was I supposed to know that you're dealing with this? How was I supposed to know? No. We all know that you don't know what's happening in our lives because you're not living that life. Ugh. Just, some of these things are making me really mad. Like, why would the most insensitive people, because no one talks about mental health, everything is like, oh, why aren't you acting like me? Or, why can't you just calm down? Like, it's like, fuck me sideways. You think I want to be like this? No, I'm trying to calm down. I'm trying, believe me. But, oof, that last statement. I think I've used it once, but not for a mental health reason. I said, how was I supposed to know that you were with your girlfriend? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see what happens in my ex's life when I try to call him to ask a question or see when he's going to pay me. I've given up on that for the moment, but I'm still keeping track of how much he owes me because he is falling behind. But that's another story for another time. So I don't know. I just, when someone says how was I supposed to know blank, it's like, no shit, you didn't know. Just no shit. Of course you didn't know what's happening in my life. You're not living my life. Duh. The last thing that was on the list of things not to say is, get over it already. Well, let me just snap my fingers. Oh, it's gone. I'm better. No. We are trying to get over the event. We're trying to work through it. We just can't, snap out of it. We can't just drop it and leave it behind as much as we would like to. It's something that happened in our lives that didn't happen in yours. We are dealing with it the way we deal with it. There's just no excuse for you to be saying, get over it already. And especially like in angry tone, just get over it already. You get over it. Go away. You're not worth my time telling me that I should get over something that I'm trying to work over anyways. Duh. When something traumatic happens in our life, it's kind of stuck with us forever. You don't just forget it or get over it. It's like me telling you, oh, you don't like that TV show? Get over it. It's like, just turn it off then. If you don't like it, find something else. Stop arguing over the remote. Come to a happy medium. I don't know. Most of the time we are trying to relearn how to live our lives after a traumatic event. And sometimes it's harder than you think. And I wish you guys understood. But the only way you can understand is to listen. Listen to what we have to say. Listen to how we feel. then maybe understand what the hell is going on. Here's another question that I found on the internet by Google. It's a pretty a lot. I don't know. It's used a lot, and it's something that, you know, I think we all ask ourselves, and it is, can you ever recover from PTSD? And this is what they had to say. Recovery from PTSD is a gradual, ongoing process. Healing doesn't happen overnight, nor do the memories of the trauma ever disappear completely. This can make life seem difficult at times, but there are many steps you can take to cope with the residual symptoms and reduce your anxiety and fear. So, no, you don't recover, but you do learn how to cope. You do learn how to, take care of it. And then the next question after that was, how do you deal with PTSD triggers? And this is what they had to say. Here's a few coping skills that help with triggers. One is deep breathing. Deep breath in. Hold it for 4 seconds. Deep breath out. It helps me. I do the deep breathing a lot. Expressive writing. Like I said, write down what happened. And you know what? If you have a fireplace, light that paper on fire and throw it in the fireplace and just watch it burn. I swear it helps. I swear it helps. Like, it probably only helped me, but maybe someone similar in the mindset of me, just write it down and burn it. Write it down and burn it. Grounding techniques. There's lots of different grounding techniques. And what I do is I have this little purse, cute little panda purse, and I have little rocks in it. And what I do is I will take a rock out and I will rub it and play with it in my hand while I'm being triggered. And I try to make a mental picture of what random rock I put into my hand. And I just go all over the edges and try to make a mental drawing, to say, of this rock. And it helps me. You find different type of rocks, or you go to like a place that either sells crystals or other different types of rocks and whatnot, and that's how I ground myself. There's also the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, where you have to find like five things you could see, 4 things you could touch, 3 things you could smell, 2 things you could taste, and I forget what one is. But it's that one's another good one, though I can't remember what the final step is, but a psychiatrist would know, and it helps. Mindfulness, I'm not sure what they meant by that one. I'm clueless on that one, so sorry. The next one is relaxation. If you are having a terrible reliving experience that does not deal with water, I would recommend a bath with some nice smelling bath salts, or a bubble bath, or a fizzy bath bomb, and just sit there and soak and just breathe in the perfume of what what choice you choose to put in the water with you. I always choose eucalyptus and lavender. It's actually a nice mix. it not only calms me down, but it also soothes any pain I may be having. And by the time I'm done soaking, I feel rejuvenated. Because sometimes I do fall asleep in the bathtub, but I'm a big girl. I can't slip under the water and die. Basically, once I'm in that bathtub, I'm stuck in that spot until I get out. Another one is self-soothing. Again, I'm not too sure what that means. But it sounds like something that you tell yourself, like a mantra, like I said before. You self-soothe by that. You go, it's okay. I'm safe. No one's going to hurt me. I have control. That is one of my mantras. And I think anyone should use that mantra. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm in control. Something so simple as just even forgetting a word, but make a mantra for yourself. Make it personal. And if you find something that makes you feel good, or feel better at least, when you find that mantra, say it to yourself when you're having an episode or something triggered you. It's one of the best ways. You just gotta repeat it. And then the last thing is social support. Get a group of with people you socialize and that would care the most about you. Make a list, write their numbers down, and if you ever are having an episode, call your social support one person at a time until someone answers, or call your crisis hotline, or call the suicide prevention line. The number for them is 1-800-273-8255. That is only if you feel suicidal. So just, if you need to, call your friends, call your family, call crisis, call the warm line if you're willing to wait on hold for up to an hour. Call the suicide prevention hotline if you feel like you can't make it through and you just want to end it. Call for help. No one's going to hurt you. Sadly, the worst thing that's going to happen is someone might, send the cops to your place and they'll handcuff you, but they say it's for your own safety, but I don't get it. But they do handcuff you and they'll put you in the back of the car and take you to the hospital where you can get evaluated and hopefully maybe get some medication, because medication is a big help, especially with anxiety and depression. Okay, so here's one question that I found interesting, and it was, does PTSD affect memory? And here's what they had to say. If you have Posttraumatic Stress Disorder, PTSD, you may notice that you have trouble concentrating or that you have issues with memory, such as memory loss. In fact, memory and concentration problems are common symptoms of PTSD. And I found that on Very Well Mind. I think that's .com. It seemed to have cut off on my notes, and I'm sorry about that. But Google Very Well Mind PTSD, and you should find them. that did pop up that I found very, very interesting. And the question is, can PTSD turn into schizophrenia? I think I talked about schizophrenia in my last recording, my last video, and it said nothing about that, but I wanted to see if it's true. Can it become schizophrenia? We shall see. So here is what they have to say. Abstract. Purpose of review. Co-occurrences of psychotic symptoms with symptoms typically thought of as post-traumatic stress disorder is well known, and there are many considerable debates whether this represents psychotic subtype or comorbid psychotic disorder. Recent findings. Psychotic symptoms typical of schizophrenia occur within a higher than expected frequency in PTSD. A large genome-wide association study, GWAS, has identified a collection of genes associated with PTSD, and these genes overlap with those that identify as increasing the risk of developing schizophrenia. The summary of this all is, up to 70% of returning veterans experience symptoms of PTSD. These individuals also fall within the peak range for the onset of schizophrenia. PTSD with psychosis may occur for several reasons. Trauma increases one's risk of schizophrenia and PTSD. Patients with schizophrenia have higher instances of PTSD and may present with characteristic psychotic symptoms overlapping with psychosis and schizophrenia. Secondary to symptom overlap, there may be some substantial misdiagnosis of psychotic disorders as PTSD or non-diagnostic boundaries within the implications for initial and long-term treatment of PTSD and psychosis. This review will discuss the recent literature relating to the association of PTSD with schizophrenia. Wow. Copy. So, being a person that has a type of schizophrenia, this was in fact very informative to me. I figured that it would be a yes, that it can cause schizophrenia or turn into it. And because just seeing the homeless veterans in my area, they talk to themselves. They are angry, like a lot, and of course some of it may be due to drugs or alcohol, but I think that's their band-aid. I think that's how they cope. And since they can't seem to keep down a job because of these problems, they typically end up homeless. Lots of people actually here end up homeless mostly because of drugs. But we have several different facilities that help with outpatient stuff to help you get off the drugs and help you stay off the drugs. So but all in all, just seeing how some of the people who are homeless experiencing these problems saddens me, and I really think that we should find a way to help them, but I don't know how. I'm not I'm not sure how to do that. But yeah. So that was the summary of if PTSD can turn into schizophrenia. Next question. The next question I found is, why does PTSD cause anger? I know anger is brought up a lot in this video, so why don't we address it? So here's what the people at oh no, I didn't put down, I'm sorry guys, I forgot to put down the web address. But here's what the people had to say. Experiencing a traumatic event can make you feel violated and constantly unsafe. You may feel as though you have little control of your life. PTSD symptoms may make you feel like danger is everywhere and that there's no escape. These feelings in turn can cause anger. I guess I would feel pretty upset if, you know, if I felt unsafe all the time. I mean, sometimes I do. Sometimes I overdo it with protecting myself. But yeah, anger does come and go. But it's mostly go. It doesn't stick around. I have no one to get angry at. Yeah, pretty much I have no one to get angry at except for my father when I see him. But that happens rarely. And plus I never say anything about it with him because I'm not one to deal with him and argue. I obviously don't believe what he believes, and the only way to make him get off the subject is me to go, yeah. So there's a little buildup of anger when I have to do that, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. And I don't stuff it. When I get home, I just just growl and grumble. I thought that was funny. Another question that was asked that scared me, actually, I was like, oh no. But it is, can PTSD lead to dementia? That's the last thing I need is dementia. Like, I'm hoping it says no. And of course, no, I did not read. I just wrote, like, copy and pasted to make my notes. But here's what they've got to say about that from Medscape. PTSD is associated with up to 2-fold increased risk of dementia, new research shows. Investigators found that individuals with PTSD had a 61% higher risk of dementia. And pooled data from 2 particular studies showed that PTSD was associated with a doubling of dementia risk. Well, fuck. I hope I don't get dementia, because that would suck balls. Like, terribly. Oh no, that scares me. Oh, that scares me. No, I don't want dementia. But you know what? I still have 49% chance of not getting it. So, and that was taken from Medscape. The next question I found was, can PTSD lead can PTSD lead to psychosis? Which I believe is a little bit different than schizophrenia. But obviously I'm learning. I'm just doing videos on what I deal with at the moment until I can get my hands on a DSM-5. I'm not going to say much. Well, much about ones I don't know. Okay, so again, can PTSD lead to psychosis? Here's what they have to say. Mental health experts describe PTSD as consisting of 4 clusters of symptoms: re-experiencing symptoms, avoidance symptoms, negative changes in mood and brain function, and the hyperarousal symptoms. However, some mental health professionals believe that the experience of psychotic symptoms should be considered as an addition to, to that list. Symptoms of psychosis, such as hallucinations, often occur with symptoms of PTSD. I'm guessing psychosis is a part of schizophrenia. But, I don't know. Not a doctor. Not a doctor. Holy. Huh. Yeah. Here's another thing I found on the internet that I thought would be helpful. And it is being with someone who has PTSD. Being the partner of someone who has PTSD can be challenging and frustrating for many reasons. You want to take away their pain, but you can't. You're also dealing with your own guilt and needing to care for yourself too. You want to have all the answers, but often have to come to grips with the reality that this is a condition that can't be loved out of someone. 1. PTSD is a very real illness. Thank you. PTSD is a debilitating anxiety disorder that occurs after a traumatic event like war combat. War combat. Experts estimate 8 million adults have PTSD to varying degrees each year in the United States. Like depression or any mental health and behavioral issues, it's not something that a person can snap out of. Symptoms arise anywhere from 3 months to years after the triggering event. In order to be characterized as PTSD, the person must exhibit these traits: at least one re-experiencing symptom, like flashbacks, bad dreams, or frightening thoughts; at least one avoidance symptom; at least 2 arousal and reactivity symptoms; and at least 2 cognition and mood symptoms, which include negative self-esteem, guilt, or blame. These symptoms made basic relationships difficult, like going out to dinner to a place that was new. Also, there was the skittishness and aggression, which are common for people with PTSD. There's also the explosive outbursts of rage. Yeah. And 2, people with PTSD often feel unlovable. Some have the feeling of not deserving of love or even remotely lovable. Traumatic experience, in addition to being scary and impacting our sense of safety, very often have a direct effect on our cognition, says Irina Wen, MD, a psychiatrist and director of the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic in NYU Langone Health. Wow. What did they just stuff my mouth with that fucking name? Usually those effects are negative. As a result, the patient might start feeling undeserving and unlovable, or that the world is a dangerous place and people should not be trusted, she explains. Over time, these negative thoughts become generalized so that negativity permeates all aspects of life. They can also carry over into a relationship. This deep insecurity issues shaped how they are treated. Oh, I can't read today. With more reassurance without prompting. They often feel safe they often don't feel safe opening up to others. That is another symptom of PTSD. I have seen plenty of situations where the partner doesn't know that their significant other is suffering from PTSD. All they experience is the anger from the partner, when in reality this person has a psychological injury and is suffering and doesn't know how to speak about it. This leads to more and more disconnect in the couple and becomes a vicious cycle, Wen says. Well, yeah, I didn't feel safe opening up to others for quite a while, as I said a little bit earlier in the video. So, yeah. And I did need reassurance a lot. And I did have insecurity issues. I still kind of do. But that's all from something else and not PTSD. So, yeah. The next part of the article is, there are treatment options. Number 3. Amid the feeling of hopelessness and isolation, people with PTSD do have options. The best way to tackle the mental health issue is with education and seeking the help of a professional. People with PTSD feel like they're going crazy and they're all alone in their condition, and the partner feels exactly the same way, Wen says. Often what we see in our clinic is that couples therapy becomes a gateway into individual treatment, Wen shares. The client may not necessarily agree with the individual treatment, yet they don't want to feel like there's something wrong with them. That is the biggest problem with mental health. People will just, I don't want to go, I don't want to seem crazy, I don't want this, that, and the other, I don't want to look psychotic. And it's like, no, you're going there to fix yourself. You're not crazy. There's no such thing as crazy. There are illnesses, not crazy. There's ways to help some of these things. I mean, sure, some of them don't have a fix, all, pill or a shot, but, you're not crazy for getting PTSD or any other mental health issue. It's just another thing that is a part of you, and you've got to learn to accept it. And it's hard too. I know it is. I know it's hard, but once you come to terms with it, it hurts less. At least that's how it worked for me. It hurts less once I came to terms, and I'm pretty sure it was part of my PTSD that killed my marriage. Like I said earlier, I fell into a pit of drugs and alcohol, trying to numb everything that I ever felt, and getting accused of things that I didn't do. So I masked it. I would just smoke pot or drink or whatever drugs I could get my hands on that wasn't meth, heroin, or anything worse than that. Not even cocaine. I wouldn't touch that. But I did get my hands on like ecstasy and whatnot. But it was a problem. And it went downhill. It spiraled down that toilet so fast. It started in 2012. And honestly, it hasn't gone away. The pain and the sadness I feel for what happened. And then same thing with 2014. Another bad year. Just complete, utter destruction of what I wanted with my life. But that right there is a totally different story. You can comment if you want to hear the story, like the video if you want to hear this story of my. I'll go in more detail on exactly what happened since the age of 16 up to now. And I would be more than happy to tell you what happened. Okay, here's another thing in the article. There are treatment options. Amid the feelings of hopelessness and isolation, people with PTSD do have options. The best way to tackle mental health issue is with educating and seeking the help of a professional. People with PTSD feel like they're going crazy and they're all alone in their condition, and that partner feels the exact same way. What is this? I've already said that. Often what we see in our clinic is couples therapy becoming a getaway. Yeah. So, okay, here it is. I found where I left off. To support your partner in your own mental health, you can continue establish a solo therapy routine. Beyond that, you can research and try a few other treatment options as well. Here are a few that may help you and your partner with PTSD. Seeking individual therapy as a partner of someone with PTSD. Encourage your partner to attend individual therapy with PTSD specialists. Attend couples therapy. Find support groups for people with PTSD or their loved ones. Yeah, I recommend all those things because they help. And number 4, part of the article. Love isn't always enough. Many people have relationships with someone with PTSD, assume the role of the caretaker. You may want to show them that love can conquer all, and with the right person, love could help them reinforce and reinstate a healthy lifestyle. As heartbreaking as it is to admit, love often does not conquer all. Realizing this can come in waves over time, mixed with intense feelings of guilt and inadequacy. It's an illusion, this idea that we can save people when says it's ultimately their responsibility as an adult to seek help or ask for help, even if it isn't their fault that they experienced trauma. We cannot make anyone ask for help. 5. You must care for yourself. Caretakers in the relationship with people with PTSD often forget to take care of themselves. You can develop guilt association with personal fulfillment or enjoyment because it's easy to get sucked into the unhealthy cycle. When you're a caretaker role, you have to put the mask on yourself first, she says. It must be a conscious effort to carve out time for yourself. The caretaker has to stay strong if they are to become a support system, and they need to have support and healthy outlets to maintain that. Yeah. I wish my ex and I went and did couples therapy. I really thought we could save it, but I couldn't, and I couldn't convince him. So that was the end of our relationship when I asked him to go to couples therapy with me and try to fix the problems. 6. It's okay to walk away. The issues surrounding PTSD that needs to be addressed called for dedicated commitment, time, and the help of a professional. Things they may not be opposed to. The guilt, sadness, and feeling of defeat can be all-encompassing. It can be a long time before you could accept it wasn't your job to make someone seek help who wasn't ready for it, and that should be okay for you to put yourself first. We can't make anyone take help. Let go of the guilt. You might feel sadness and grief over the loss of the relationship, but as much as possible, set aside guilt, and it's going to be an unhelpful emotion in this situation. Wen says, say I love you. Say I would love for this to work and for you to get help because it affects me, you, and the relationship, but this is how far I'm able to go, she recommends. So, yeah. I decided after trying for probably about 2 years, it seems, I finally walked away from the relationship with my ex. And it was heartbreaking. I didn't know what to do except for go where my family was. And even there, I didn't feel accepted. And I still don't feel accepted anywhere near my brother or my dad. Well, I can't go see my brother anyways. He's in Oklahoma. But me being in Washington and my dad being in Washington, I feel like they don't want me around. And that's okay, I guess. I've started learning to take care of myself. And hopefully I can keep taking care of myself. And that'd be nice. This will be the last article of out of the notes I made. One of the questions, I don't know if it pertains to PTSD, but I have a feeling it does. And here's the question. How does trauma impact intimacy? Many people gravitate towards the idea that sexual trauma creates problems towards intimacy and sexual activity. While this can certainly be true, sexual trauma alone is not the only form of trauma which creates this issue. Any form of trauma creates a feeling of unsafety, insecurity, and at times even panic. This shows up in various forms, including lack of sexual desire, sensitive to touch, always looking for the nearest exit, fearful of non-sexual touch, irritability, inability to express feelings, and avoidance. And it also says, if we have experienced an event that makes us feel unsafe, reduces our sexual desire, creates panic, and literally makes your skin crawl when touched. It makes it seem impossible to have any form of intimacy or physical contact with your partner. This can be extremely damaging to relationships and often prevent us from moving forward. And the last question of this total video is, how can I achieve intimacy with my partner after being experienced in trauma? Achieving intimacy after experiencing trauma can be a slow and gradual process. It is important to remember that healing is not always linear in these cases, and it takes time. Rebuilding your connection between your mind and body can help improve feelings of control and agency. Some additional ways to do this include yoga, I recommend, a professional massage, always nice, non-sexual touch, like foot rubs, back massage, hand rubs from the partner, karate, I'm thinking this is karate / martial arts, support or peer groups, and therapy. And all those are wonderful things to help get the aggression of experiencing the trauma out sometimes, though it'll creep back, but it does help. I don't know if I've ever really experienced the want for intimacy after 2014. Yeah, after 2014, I just gave up on intimacy. And that's okay. And I'm moving on from it. And I'm making the best life I can have. Well, thank you for watching the video. If you made it this far, give it a thumbs up and a comment, and share with this video if you think it's important enough to share with anyone. But if you thumbs up and comment, my video will be boosted to be seen by other people, and the more what the heck the more people that like and watch, the more that the world can learn about mental health and how it's not a bad thing. It's just another way of living. You guys have a good night. Bye.